Okay, let's get started. This is VOLTHA TST Meeting on August 13, 2024. Before starting, let me remind that this call is recorded and will be published on social media channels. I have a few items on agenda today. These are follow-ups from the last meeting. Let's start with the first one, and Michelle, you were working on that before I joined, I guess. I still have the problem to access the wiki page, so I cannot access meeting minutes as well. That's why I'm taking the notes in this Google Notes, and we'll carry all this after the access problem is solved. Is there any update here you want to give, or?
So I opened a ticket on it that went to our IT Jira, and it looks like it was assigned to Joey, who has been out of town. So we were just chatting about that because I escalated it this morning as I saw nothing had happened. I don't think he had seen it yet. So I don't know, Joey, if you have anything to add.
No, I'll go
look at it.
I'll go look for it after the meeting.
Okay, so Joey, you're the owner of this ticket again. So do we need to do anything about that? I mean, should the tickets be assigned to you still?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think they should probably start getting assigned to me, actually. Hi, I'm
Yes.
Eric.
Hi, nice to meet you, by the way. And so I guess you have an account on Jira that we are currently using it. Do you?
Yeah.
Okay. And this kind of tickets will be assigned to you. I mean, all the project tickets will be assigned to you, or some components only will be assigned to you. What will be the process here? So some tickets will probably be about the software, etc., that you shouldn't be involved in. How do we separate these tickets?
I'm not sure. I think we can handle triaging the issues on our end and make sure that they go to the right person.
So initially all tickets will be assigned to you in this case.
That might be the case for a little bit, Mahir. Like we talked about the last meeting, I think that Eric is kind of the point person for the handoff from Joey, but the goal is to get to the point where tickets that go into the IT team are triaged according to who can help, and it doesn't bottleneck at one person. Is that right, Eric?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the goal to get there, but there's a lot of information getting handed off right now from Joey, so it might take a little bit to get to that point.
Just to clarify, which Jira system are we talking about? We're talking about the Linux Foundation tickets. Going forward, where should tickets be opened? In the Linux Foundation Jira site or in the ONF Jira site, which will eventually be merged into the Linux Foundation Jira site?
They should be opened on the Linux Foundation Jira.
Yeah,
Okay.
we really need to get away from the ONF one. Anything that's still connected to ONF should be a priority to get away from.
So what's the plan about this migration? Any timeline?
So the Jira that is mentioned for your wiki access is actually an internal Linux Foundation Jira that I created a ticket in. I think there is a plan to create an LF VOLTHA Jira where the community can submit tickets for technical assistance, just like how we have the open core Jira right now. It would replace the open core Jira. Isn't that right, Joey? We were talking about this last week, but I can't remember the details.
Yes, and I want to say the Jira exists, but I'm going to have to try and dig up the URL for it. Or the replacement Jira system, the one hosted by Linux Foundation, I believe exists, but I gotta track down the URL for it.
Yeah, so we need to get away from that open core Jira.
Okay. The second item I have is about the AMI image, Joy.
Mhm.
Is
Yeah,
there any update here about this?
Yes, I've got a couple of updates and I've got a couple of questions. So to rehash, started spinning up a replacement AMI image that pretty much all the tools, versions, and everything mirrored what we were using before the AMI was removed. Building and testing with most of the tools seem to work okay, but I've been running into some problems with the version of Python that's installed. It's a little bit painful to try and upgrade Python. The system is anchored to using one version of Python, and the build system, we're trying to use a newer version of it. And a lot of the build infra does not have a lot of insulation from the system version of Python. So you basically upgrade the world whenever you try to like change user bin links to use the newer version of Python. One of the problems, or we had two problems show up. One was makefile targets when we're doing the builds and tests normally launch a Docker image, and we work from the Docker image. Part of the problem upgrading Python on the local system ended up breaking one of the system services. It's called Network D Dispatcher, and I think that was contributing to some of the problems we were having on the Docker side. There's a socket that you can write to talk to Docker. Writes looked like they were going into the socket, but it was failing downstream, which I think was related to the network dispatcher service not running. I'm just curious what everybody would like to do with this. One option, what we would like to do is upgrade to Python 3.7 or 3.8, to try and keep it moving forward. You see, I just lost my train of thought. So
what is the Python package you are mentioning, Joey? What Python package?
the one that was causing problems was the GI package. It's related to GTK, and what was the other one? The problem is it's not just the Python package, it's scripts in user bin that are running. Some of the system services run from user bin. And if we change the version of Python, the user bin scripts are no longer, they're not isolated to be able to use. They're still looking for the older version of the modules, which there's some incompatibilities with the newer ones. I know that's rambling. Does that make sense?
I don't know about them, by the way. I don't know what Python scripts we are using under the USR bin. What we have as a Python package, as I remember, I think we have some of Python scripts still under the RW core components. I think we can remove them if there is any Python package related with compiling these Python packages in RW core. We can completely remove those.
We've got a few.
If Python is a problem.
We've got a few. There's a lot more dependencies than just that. So Jenkins runs with JJB. There's some dependencies on the version of Python in there. Some of the newer JJB versions build in installations, so that's less of a problem, but we just have an issue with it now. Some of the build system scripts are written in Python. Those are in the CI management repository. The massive dependency is almost all of VOLTHA testing is driven by the robot testing harness. The robot testing harness is written in Python.
I see.
That actually that's the hardest one to deal with. Well, some options that we can do, I can continue to, one way we could fix this is probably change there are multiple versions of the Python interpreter installed on the machine, so we can use them in isolation. One option would be to go through and change all the shebang paths in the scripts so that we launch with a specific version of Python, which is kind of ugly but doable. I was looking at the AMI images that we can use for canonical Ubuntu to be able to spin up a new image. And if we move to the next version that's available, 20.04 LTS, there's an upgraded version of Python already in there. It's version 3.8.2. Excuse me. That'll basically give us all of the system scripts in the libraries at the newer version. The only potential problem with this is there are some syntax changes between 3.7 and 3.8 that if we begin using the newer AMI with the newer version of Python, we could, I think, very likely start seeing failures in the test suites, and probably in some scripts as well. What would people feel if we try to deploy the new AMI based on Ubuntu 20.04? Yeah, 20.04. Knowing that we very likely are going to have to clean up some fallout from the newer version of the interpreter being deployed. And I haven't checked. I also think we're going to get a newer version of Golang if we do this as well, which we also
already,
go ahead.
I think we already need to upgrade Golang because of the, Go controller,
Right.
isn't it? Yeah.
Well, if people are not concerned about potential widespread fallout, I can roll it out. We can see if we can do some builds on it.
Yeah, we
I think so. We'll have to update, is what I believe, because some things what we're using are very old, which haven't been updated for quite some time.
Right.
Yeah, I agree on that. We can update it, and during this update, Joy, if you find something failing, like some Python scripts, etc., you can bring this up to the Slack channel, and we can discuss to remove some of them, because as Serkan said, there are still some scripts in some repositories as stale scripts remaining from the time that we were using, Python, etc. But currently we don't probably need some of them, and we can clean them, okay, remove them. We can talk this kind of scripts on the Slack channel, and if we need, we decide to remove them, we can remove them.
Mm-hmm. The code scripts in the repositories, I'm not too concerned about, because when we when VOLTHA Protos does compiles, we tend to do those in Docker images, and those have an isolated version of Python. So those those also need to be upgraded, but they're really not affected by the problem space we have right now.
Okay, got it. So the next question about this issue is, I already asked this last week, but need to ask again. Do we need to, involve someone from Linux Foundation into this problem or not? Because Joy, I think you have 1 or 2 weeks with us, isn't it?
I think it's 2.5, 3.
Good.
Yeah, Eric is getting involved. There is, just a side note, there is a peripheral effort going on right now. You remember I mentioned GitHub Actions before? Eric, you can jump in if you'd like to add anything. But basically, we're trying to move some of the heavy lifting for the build pipelines over into GitHub Actions, and that'll remove a lot of some of the complexity that's in the system. It's not going to help, obviously, with the Python versioning problem, but just lost my train of thought. But that will help reduce some of the need to upgrade Jenkins Job Builder, and will remove some of the code from some of the pipelines because it can be shifted over to GitHub Actions.
Sorry, I'm taking some notes.
Michelle, could you also add Golang upgrading Python.
All right, anything else about this item? I'm moving to the other one. So Joy, you were preparing a document with to define the state of work or the works to be done by LF engineers, the tasks that you're currently doing, what you need to hand over to them.
Oh, let's see. I have been spending my time trying to get the AMI online. Trying to go through the release and get that all documented. Let's see what else. Just updating docs in general, so reference material is available.
So I understand that you didn't have any time to look at this document.
I haven't written up a checklist as yet, if that's what you were asking.
Yeah. Okay. Let's talk some about the Go controller. The previous meetings we requested an update from Pranit about the Go controller status, because this is the next item, big item that we want to apply to the code. Is there any update here,
Yeah.
Pranit or Abhilash?
Yeah. The Go controller, as of now, the DT workflow is all verified. It's all working, but the TT workflow is yet to be done. But as discussed in previous meetings as well, we'll have to do a release with the VOLTHA with the TT workflow. So for that, everything is ready. We'll have to, once probably again, it depends on the image. Correct me, Joey, if I'm wrong. So we'll have to bring up the pipeline for VGC and also fire up a test job with VGC. Even the VOLTHA system tests have everything in place for the VGC. It's just that we have to get it together and start the pipelines and the system tests.
So you said you're waiting for an image, or wasn't it a Golang version upgrade?
Yes, it needs a Golang version upgrade. Along with that, we also have to bring up the pipelines for that. As of now, there is no pipelines. It's just that it builds, that's it. Along with that, we'll have to bring other pipelines as well.
Yeah, we need basically we need the Ubuntu image for starters to be able to run the system. Once we get past that, some of the repositories, those are more of the pipelines that are using Docker images. The image of the Docker image that we're using to do the builds and tests that Abhilash was mentioning, we also need to upgrade the version of Go in those images that we're using to build. And last time I did it, this is going back a little while, there was some breakage because of the change from 12 or 14 to 116 to Golang 116 or 18, and those will need to be resolved before the pipelines can run cleanly. It's just normal deltas from upgrading interpreter versions.
So those, I think so they're all dependent on the image which we are trying to build on. Correct, Joey? So
Yeah. Mhm.
now we have a new AMI image, which probably will have a different Ubuntu and different versions of packages. I think so things will be different. Most probably it may work, or probably it may need some changes again.
Well, there'll be two pieces. We'll have the newer version of Golang on the system, which is good. We do need it there. In addition to that, we also have to update the Docker images that are also handling some of the builds and tests. The version of Golang in the Docker image that's being used for the builds and tests will also need to be updated to match the version that we deploy. Like I said, I think it's 118 or somewhere around there, 18 or 22.
Yeah.
Joy, perhaps it may be a good idea to prepare a list of items and Jira tasks that needs to be cleaned up immediately. I mean, the first priority items like this AMI problem, this Docker image upgrade problem, etc. To hand over this to Linux Foundation team.
Well, there are it actually shouldn't be too hard to pull the checklist together. There are a boatload of tickets and what do you call them, epics, which have a bunch of sub tickets under them in the ONF Jira server. Just have to triage those.
Yeah, I know there are a lot of tasks there, so some of them they're gating problems. So they're very crucial. So we can if you can prepare a few a list of few items that needs to be solved.
Sure.
Yeah. That would be great, I guess.
Yeah, there's a bunch of them. There are tickets open for the AMI that's being created and some problems that have come up around those. The Docker image upgrade, the Golang upgrade. If Python is updated, the tests that are going, the test suites that are probably going to start failing. There's also a bunch of release tickets. Yeah, thinking about it now, probably just about everything is captured in tickets.
Okay. Yeah, and the last item, Michelle, do you have any update on this reference design edits?
Yeah, so it's going to take some additional work. The original reference design was published under an ONF licensing terms, and we need to get the board to sign off on new licensing terms under the Linux Foundation. And there's apparently 2 different processes that we can do. So I'm working on putting together a presentation for the board to review and then approve which process they want to move forward with. And then we can get started with the review process and the drafting process.
Okay.
So I'm sorry, it's a little more complicated than I had initially thought. But I'm hoping we can get started on it relatively soon.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, saying that, I don't have any other item on the agenda. So floor is open. Any thoughts, any comments from anyone?
Nothing from my side.
Okay, thank you then.
Thanks.
Thank you for joining. See you in the next meeting.
Okay, thanks.
See you. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
Thanks,